The narcissist was the test of your life. If you really think about it, that's exactly what it was. It's easy to lose sight of this fact, but it's important to remember this. It's important to never lose sight of what really happened, what you endured with the narcissist, and most importantly, what you conquered. And I'm going to get to that part at the end. But the narcissist absolutely was. I can speak for myself. There's a multitude of things that I've gone through, not playing victim. I'm not saying worse than what other people go through, but I've gone through some very difficult stretches, some trials that were just boom, 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 stacked on top of each other over the course of a few years. And I can tell you, none of them compared to the narcissist. Absolutely nothing I've ever gone through in my life, whether that's physical illness, um, some sort of financial issue in the past, whatever it was, nothing has come close to the narcissist. So there's an old saying, and I only partially agree with it, but it says that if Satan can't take you out, he'll send a narcissist to do it. Well, that's partially true, but I differ with the saying because the narcissist is the way Satan tries to take you out. He is the chief way that he tries to take people out. He's got all these things that he does, temptations, things he puts you through. But when he really wants to do you in, he sends one of his filthy, narcissistic creatures, patterned and mirrored after him, into your life. And that's why you are, in a sense, very much dealing with the devil himself when you deal with a narcissist. Because you're dealing with somebody who's a carbon copy, his own precious little child of destruction. So Satan does send narcissists to blow you up, and it's his heavy artillery. It's his nuke that he's going to send into your life. So these people represent the greatest test that you have ever experienced. But what makes it so difficult, I'm going to get into it, but is that this person did not come in any way, shape, or form as a test. When you met them, you were not thinking for 1 second, this is going to be the most difficult thing I've ever gone through in my life. This person's going to present me with things that I have never experienced nor will ever experience again. The most difficult, trying, grueling, not just relationship, but situation you've ever had in your life. Because they came as the devil does. They masqueraded as an angel of light, and what you got was a demon. They came in the light, and what you got was total darkness, black as night. So that is what made it difficult, because the way they introduced themselves and what you thought you were getting left you confused the entire time, even after the relationship, and even after you figured out that they're a narcissist, and after you've even healed. You're still sometimes kind of scratching your head a little bit saying, but this person was nothing like what I thought I was getting. And that false bill of goods that they sell you at the beginning goes a long, long, long way in accomplishing their task. See, you thought you were getting the love of your life, the next best thing, the greatest thing, your person who was going to be with you through thick and thin, who matched your ideals, your values, your desires, what you wanted. That's what you thought you were getting. Instead, we know it was nothing of the sort. So I'm going to get into some reasons here of what is really going on and what happened and why this was the greatest test of your life. So, one, every single thing that this person built up in your life, in this relationship you thought you were building, every single one of those things was built up for the sole reason of destroying you. They built all of it up so that, specifically, so that they could tear it down. That's why they did it. They built it all just to tear it down. And make no mistake about this. They stood on your shoulders. You were the next thing to get them through whatever phase of their life. They saw you as nothing more than an opportunity. Did they care at all about you? Depends on the narcissist, depends on the situation. But yes, they came and they built it up specifically for the reason of tearing you down and of destroying you. So that is what makes it very difficult. When someone's building something, you think building something, you don't realize it's only for their benefit, only for your future demise. But that is part of what made this the biggest test that you're ever going to experience. When this happens, you feel like the rug got completely pulled out from under you. Everything that you thought you had, and the future faking is a big part of this. Everything you thought you were going to have in your life for the rest of your life got taken out from under you like that. And you face planted on the ground. That is what happened in this relationship, this entanglement with this toxic, evil person. Another thing is, you never thought in a million years you would have the kind of abuse hurled at you that you did. The narcissist says things and does things that you didn't even think were possible, that were so far below any human standard that it wasn't even the radar to occur. They invent ways to torture. They get pleasure out of it. They love to taunt you after they do things. They love to sit there and grin ear to ear as they torture you. Yes, they love it. If you didn't think that these people were flat out evil, you're dead wrong. And yes, it's on a spectrum. It depends on, they're not all built exactly the same, though they play from the same playbook. Some are farther down the road than others. And that's going to dictate what kind of evil and what behavior you get. But you didn't think somebody could be that cruel, hurl insults at you that you couldn't dream up, say things that you would not say to someone no matter what, no matter how much you disliked them. You couldn't dream of saying or doing the things that the narcissist does. The type of punishment, the constant devaluation, that you can't do this, you can't do that, you're not good at this, you're not anything. You have no value whatsoever. If you listen to the narcissist, you would actually come to believe you had zero value to offer the world at all. And that's how they want it. Because that's them. They have zero value, and they're going to dump that onto you. But you didn't think it was possible that it could be as bad as it was, as toxic as it was. Anyone could do this stuff. So, other things that you got and what they tested you, why it became the biggest test of your life. You got ghosted over and over. Someone who was supposed to really care for you at the deepest levels had no problem disappearing on a whim. They could build it up for a few days, a week, a month, a couple months, and then disappear like you don't even exist. And so they could go entertain other people. And so they could just flat out torture you because the narcissist wants you chasing them at all times. You had no idea this relationship was going to be nothing other than you just chasing someone around the entire time and them laughing all the way. But that's what it was. And so they grin as they ghost you and they want to see how bad will this person chase me? How bad will they pine after me? And that's a common practice in our society today. And then you got to watch them as they triangulated you and they brought up other people, they brought up exes. They openly flirted in front of your face with people at a restaurant or at a grocery store or a carnival or anywhere that you were. And then they blame you. You're so incredibly insecure. You have issues. You need to work on yourself. I've never met a more insecure person. You won't let me openly flirt with other people right in front of your face, so you're insecure. Those are the things you dealt with. You never dreamed that you'd have to deal with those things in a million years, but you did. All of these little pleasures came with the narcissist, and this is how it was the biggest test of your life. They cheated. Yes, they cheated. If you're thinking to yourself, my narcissist didn't cheat, my narcissist was faithful. It's not mine anyway, the narcissist that you were with. If you thought they were faithful, you're dead wrong. Even if they didn't physically cheat on you, which they probably did, I promise you to 100% certainty they mentally did. They talked and communicated with other people behind your back from day one, from the first word to the last breath of the relationship. They did it. And many of them gloated in your face about it. Yes, the person who was supposed to love you unconditionally more than anyone else on earth took pride and pleasure in the fact that they cheated on you and got one over on you and threw it in your face whenever they needed to. All along the way, They breadcrumbed the living daylights out of you. They did things that kept you on the hook, sent you a little picture, sent you an emoji, followed up after the ghosting, made you think on and on and on endlessly like this trail of breadcrumbs that they actually had interest in you and they didn't. And this goes on even if you were married to that person for years and years and years. They still breadcrumbed you all the way along. Every time they felt like you were pulling away, they breadcrumbed you. Every time they felt like they needed to, that they were maybe just possibly losing you at all, here came a breadcrumb and it kept you in the game. And little future faking thrown in there. Honey, look what we're going to do. This is the life we're going to build. This is the house we're going to have. I want this big wraparound porch. Can we have this? Can we do this? And it never was going to come to fruition. Never was going to happen. The happy life you thought you were getting, it's a fairy tale. And it was the biggest test of your life because you couldn't wrap your mind around it. So yeah, they breadcrumbed you all the way to the bank and all the way home. Additionally, as if that's not enough, they came back over and over and over and over. Every time you thought that relationship was finished, it wasn't. Every time you thought they were done with you, they were just putting you on the shelf temporarily. It wasn't ever over. As the narcissist I heard directly said, this relationship is over when I say it is. Not when you think it is, not when it should be, not when it appears to be. The narcissist came back over and over. Yes, they hoovered you repeatedly. Even if you didn't understand it at the time it was a hoover, every time that thing went kapoots and crashed to the ground, then they circled back around. Hours, days, a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month later, didn't they? And every time they came back, because you were so stuck, it got worse and worse and worse every single time. And if you're still stuck in one of these relationships and you think the next time will be better, you're wrong. It will be worse. 100%, no question. It will not ever improve. But every time you take them back and they circle back around, they think that much less of you. You're that much dumber in their eyes. You're that much more helpless, dependent, needy. Because the catch 22 with the narcissist is that if you appear if you take them back, then you're too needy and you're useless. But if you don't take them back, the relationship's over. So there's no winning. You cannot possibly win with one of these people. And you didn't know that. You didn't know you were getting into a no win, can't possibly win situation. But you were, because it was the greatest test of your life. What you also didn't know, no one knew, is that you were now under what is basically a spiritual delusion. You are now under a narcissistic spell. And it is a spell, it's a form of witchcraft. It's their behavior and the demonic beings that are in charge of them putting you under a spiritual spell that people call, in psychological terms, the trauma bond. But it's a spell. And you pine for a person in a way you could never believe. It's totally unnatural. It's supernatural. The way you ached for them. When you were in the relationship, you felt like you couldn't breathe if you were away from this person. Yet you were still somehow kind of more peaceful when they were away. Yet you nicked for them like a drug, because that's what it was. Every time you came around them, it was a hit. Dopamine. It was a drug you were putting into your arm every single time you were with them, and it made you feel good for a little bit, and then it made you feel 50 times worse every single time, and it built and built and built. And that was the nature of this relationship. And you were under a spell. And that's why after the relationship was over, you spend so much time ruminating and thinking, how could I care so much about this person? It's unlike anything ever. It's doesn't feel like any other situation or relationship I've experienced. There's no earthly reason why I cannot get over this person. I'm so hung up on him or her because it's supernatural. Narcissism is a spiritual disorder. The whole thing's a spiritual battle that you didn't know you were getting into. You thought you were getting into an earthly relationship. You were getting into a spiritual war. Is this resonating? Is this in any way untrue? This is the way that the relationship, the entanglement, the nightmare unfolded. And remember back, you thought you were getting the greatest thing of your life. That's what was painted. That's the picture, the portrait painted for you was roses and daisies and a loving, consistent, kind partner to spend your life with who has your back through thick and thin, who has all the same interests that you have. And this is how it unfolded. See, what should have been the greatest thing in your life became the greatest nightmare, the biggest test. And that trauma bond that I spoke of takes a very long time to get over. It depends on how bad it was, how long it was, how much work you put in afterwards. If you get the wisdom about narcissism, most people don't and they stay stuck. That's why the narcissist can go back to their exes and get them back because they didn't figure it out. They stayed stuck. That's why people stay in these relationships, these marriages with a narcissist for 25 years because they never figured it out. They were under the spell, they didn't get the knowledge, and they couldn't get out. They couldn't get away. So, in the course of this whole process, you lost yourself. Your very identity, who you were going into that, gone, no more. You looked in the mirror, probably like I did at some point, and said, I do not recognize that person anymore. Who have I become? I'm kind of like them. I think I'm becoming like this person because you are. Their behaviors rub off on you. You will not change the narcissist, but they will change you. That's a given. And they did. So you became a shell of yourself. Miserable. You walked on eggshells. You were an anxiety riddled mess. You were constantly worried. What are they doing? What are they going to be like today? What's the next test? What's the next call? What kind of mood? What kind of person am I going to deal with today? Who's going to open the door? Who's going to come home? Who's going to get a hold of me next? What are they doing? What are they doing? What are they doing? FOMO, fear of missing out on every little thing they're doing because you're under the spell. And you lost yourself in the process. And that's exactly what the devil had in mind. That's why he sends narcissists, because they are his most lethal assassins. They are him in human flesh, because he's molded and shaped them to be just like him with all his disgusting, evil, depraved callousness. Yes, all of these things happened. You had no idea what you were getting into. Neither did I. Nobody in their right mind would have signed up for anything of the sort. But that's why they don't ask you to sign this document. The one they ask you to sign with your heart, with your mind, is the one of constant abuse, an endless cycle of a nightmare. But they're going to decorate the page. It's gold, it's glittery, it's beautiful. And you sign on the dotted line and you just sold your soul for a period of time. For however long you're with that narcissist, they've got control over you. So is the devil, in a sense. Not saying you're unsaved by simply being with a narcissist, but you are now in enemy territory. Every day that you spend with that person, you have bound and yoked yourself to an evil, wicked, reprobate, in many cases, reprobate individual. The greatest test of your life you didn't know. And I'm probably not even doing it justice. It's way worse. You can't explain it to people. You have experienced this. Try to talk to people about this relationship after it's over and they don't understand. Just get over it. It's just a person. There's plenty of more fish in the sea. So many more women out there. So many more men. Why are you hung up on this person? Like, you're not even trying to move on. Move on. They don't understand because you can't. Unless you've been through it, you don't understand the toxic, vile nature. You can't believe how bad it is. It's indescribable. But here's the thing. They were your biggest test of your life. I'm confident that once you pass this test, which you guys on this channel, many of you have, and I did. Once you pass the test, you're never going to experience one like this again. Not in the same way, not one that affects you in every single way, spiritually, physically, mentally, that is grueling, agonizing, You're going to still have trials and tribulations. They're sure to come. Jesus promised us that. You're not going to dance away into the moonlight and be scot-free from any situation ever again. But you're never going to encounter that. And you become a totally new form of yourself after that. Because you have been through hell and back, literally, with this person. And you passed this test. And that's the key. It didn't conquer you. They didn't take your soul. Satan didn't get ownership over you. You're not going to reach the same end as the narcissist. You got out. You escaped. Whether they discarded you or you discarded them, it doesn't matter. And even if they discarded you, it's probably because you actually set up some kind of boundary. Enough was enough in some capacity. Because they can't handle it. They need fresh faces, new things, excitement, people who don't know anything about who they are. Because once you start to figure them out, they know it's adios. But you conquered it. You slayed a giant. That's all I can say about it. When you conquer the narcissistic relationship, you have slayed a Goliath unlike any other, a giant. So I know many of you are still hurting, you're still processing, you're still trying to figure this out. And many of you have also escaped and you're good. You're to the point where I am, where the narcissist doesn't even exist in your mind, only to talk about it, only for the sake of this. And you conquered a giant. You passed the biggest test of your life. You've earned it. God helped you, clearly, but you also took the initiative. You also did the hard work it takes to get over this person and to move on. And let me tell you something, if you're still stuck in it, you have no course of action but to get out. You must. Everything I said is true of that relationship, entanglement you're in. Everything's true, and it's going to get worse because they're going to get worse. And you're going to get worse the longer you stay. Rip the Band-Aid off. Call it an end. Pass the test. Pass the test the same way we have. Understand it's grueling, I get it. But slay that giant that's in front of you. And once you do, nothing else is going to beat you. Nothing else is going to get to you the same way. You'll go through the trials and tribulations of the world that throws at you and that the devil throws at you, and many of them you'll just laugh. It'll bounce off you like a pebble at a dam. Because you're like, no, I've been through the narcissist. That, nah, that's small potatoes. That's nothing. I conquered the giant. So guys, understand two things. It was the greatest test of your life. Don't underplay it. Don't undermine it, downplay it. Don't think for a second that it wasn't. And also understand that you conquered it. And if you haven't conquered it, you're going to conquer it. And if you need help conquering it, drop comments below, reach out to me via email, and I have a great community of people with some really good commenters that will help you as well. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this. Understand the narcissist was the greatest test of your life, whether you now know that or you don't. They were. And you will beat it, and you have beaten it. So guys, thanks for watching. Drop comments below. Appreciate the new subs and the old subs and everyone who watches and comments. I hope it's helpful for you. So I'll come at you with another one soon. Happy New Year to you guys if I don't see you before then. And we'll talk again soon. God bless.